On June 25, 2009, Michael Jackson reportedly begged his personal physician Conrad Murray for drugs to help him sleep, including propofol, leading to the King of Pop's sudden demise. Conrad Murray was once a respected physician, a man trusted with lives, until the day Michael Jackson died while under his care. On June 25, 2009, the world stood still, stunned by the heartbreaking news that the King of Pop had suddenly perished, at the age of 50 in his Los Angeles home. Paramedics raced Jackson to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center, hope clinging to every second. But there was nothing doctors could do to save him. A legend was gone, and with him, a piece of music history, faded into silence. The investigation into Jackson's death revealed that Murray had given the pop star numerous drugs to help him sleep, including the powerful anesthetic propofol, a drug so potent it's never meant to be used outside of a hospital or clinic setting. Ultimately, this created a lethal mix, and so Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in the pop star's demise in 2011. It was a chilling conclusion to a tragedy that left fans across the globe heartbroken and searching for answers. But even though Murray was sentenced to 4 years in prison, he only ended up serving 2 years behind bars. And after he was released, he insisted that Jackson was responsible for his own death. The statement sent shockwaves through a grieving fan base. As if the loss wasn't painful enough, now came blame, denial, and a bitter sense of injustice. What was supposed to be accountability turned into controversy, leaving the world to wrestle with unanswered questions and a legacy clouded by sorrow. Hello viewers. Today, in this video, I will tell you that what happened to Conrad Murray, the doctor found guilty of manslaughter in Michael Jackson's death. So without wasting time, let's begin the video. Conrad Murray was born on February 19, 1953 in St. Andrews, Grenada. As a young child, he lived with his grandparents, who were farmers, surrounded by the quiet simplicity of rural life, before moving to Trinidad and Tobago at age 7 to be with his mother, Milta. It was a heartfelt reunion that marked the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with dreams, sacrifice, and the deep bond between a mother and her son. Life wasn't easy, but he found inspiration in his father, a doctor who dedicated his life to helping the poor. Though hardship was a constant companion, hope flickered through the stories of a man he had never met. Murray didn't meet his father until he was 25, but this late encounter still shaped his professional life. It was a moment filled with awe and longing, the kind that carves deep meaning into a life's purpose, even if it arrives decades late. Determined to become a doctor, Murray eventually moved to the United States to study medicine. With every step, he carried the weight of his past and the dreams of a better future. He attended Texas Southern University, followed by Meharry Medical College in Tennessee. He completed additional training at other medical centers, ultimately deciding to specialize in cardiology. It was a journey built on resilience and sacrifice, a pursuit fueled by purpose and the desire to heal hearts, both literally and figuratively. By 2000, he had opened up his very own private practice in Las Vegas. It was a milestone born of years of relentless dedication and sacrifice. He opened another practice in Houston in 2006, pledging to serve both wealthy and impoverished patients who needed his assistance. In a world often divided by status, this promise reflected a deeper calling: to care, to give back, and to honor the legacy of the father he barely knew but deeply admired. But while his medical career was on the rise, his personal and financial struggles started to pile up, including unpaid debts and child support. Meeting and treating Michael Jackson. Conrad Murray first met Michael Jackson in 2006. Jackson was in Las Vegas with his daughter Paris when she suddenly became ill. A member of Jackson's inner circle knew Murray and called him in to treat her. Murray's care impressed Jackson, and the two men formed a friendship. It was a moment of trust, born from a father's concern and a doctor's steady hand, a bond that would grow quietly, carrying with it the weight of both admiration and fate. As their bond grew, Jackson began to trust Murray with his own health. When Jackson started preparing for his This Is It concert residency in London in 2009, he wanted Murray by his side as his personal doctor. Jackson offered him $150,000 per month, an offer too good to refuse. It was a sign of deep trust and high expectations, a moment that seemed filled with promise, yet quietly carried the weight of what neither of them could foresee. At the time, Murray's financial situation was dire. He had fallen $100,000 behind on his mortgage on his Las Vegas home, and his debts were growing. According to NBC News, he had fathered at least 7 children with 6 different women. Several of the mothers had taken him to court over unpaid child support, adding even more pressure to his strained finances. The new deal with Jackson seemed like the perfect solution to Murray's problems, until one fateful night after a This Is It rehearsal. A night that would forever change the lives of both men and leave the world mourning a legend. Inside Michael Jackson's shocking death. In the early hours of June 25, 2009, Conrad Murray was the only person with Michael Jackson when tragedy struck. For weeks, the doctor had been giving Jackson, who had long suffered from insomnia, various drugs to help him sleep at night. Notably, one was the powerful anesthetic propofol. In that quiet, fragile moment, with the world asleep, a dangerous routine met its breaking point and the unthinkable happened. Though propofol is meant to be used only in hospitals and clinics, and not in a patient's home, Jackson had become so familiar with propofol thanks to Murray that Jackson had given it the nickname Milk, a chilling nickname born from routine and desperation, masking the danger beneath its innocent sound. Murray later claimed that he was trying to wean Jackson off the drug. On the night of Jackson's death, he gave him a number of milder drugs to help with insomnia, including Valium, the sedative midazolam, and the anti-anxiety medication lorazepam. But Jackson reportedly kept begging for propofol, a heartbreaking plea from a man exhausted by sleepless nights, a quiet battle no one could see, unfolding in the shadows of fame and fading strength. According to Murray, Jackson said, "Please, please, give me some milk so that I can sleep, because I know that this is all that really works for me. Just make me sleep." Eventually, Murray gave in. Just moments later, after Murray said that he stepped away briefly to use the bathroom, Jackson stopped breathing. In an instant, everything changed. The silence that followed was deafening, the gravity of the moment settling in with an overwhelming finality. Murray attempted to resuscitate the king of pop and called for help, but neither he nor the paramedics who arrived were able to save him. Jackson was soon declared dead at Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. The world was shaken to its core. The loss felt deeply in every corner of the globe. All eyes quickly turned to Murray. Questions, blame, and disbelief hung heavy in the air as the truth of what had happened began to unravel. The doctor claimed that he had only been trying to help his friend, but the facts told a different story. He had given Jackson a powerful drug in an inappropriate setting and then left him alone soon afterward. The weight of his actions became impossible to deny, and the truth could no longer be hidden in the shadows of denial. A coroner soon determined that Jackson had died from cardiac arrest brought on by acute propofol intoxication, and the coroner ruled his death a homicide. It was a devastating conclusion, one that shattered any remaining illusions of innocence and left the world mourning a beloved icon's tragic end. Conrad Murray's conviction of involuntary manslaughter in Michael Jackson's death. In February 2010, Conrad Murray was charged with involuntary manslaughter in Michael Jackson's death, but he pleaded not guilty. The weight of the charge hung heavy over him as the world awaited answers that seemed impossible to find. Meanwhile, his lawyers prepared to advance a theory that Jackson could have potentially injected himself with the fatal dose of propofol that killed him. A theory that, whether true or not, only deepened the confusion and grief surrounding Jackson's tragic demise. At Murray's trial, which began in late September 2011, His lawyers suggested that Jackson could have also potentially swallowed multiple lorazepam tablets while Murray was not watching, perhaps in a desperate attempt to sleep better ahead of his fast-approaching concert residency. A theory that painted Jackson's final moments in a tragic light, filled with exhaustion and desperation, but one that left the courtroom and the world struggling to piece together the truth of what really happened. Meanwhile, prosecutors argued that Murray was a reckless caregiver for giving Jackson a powerful anesthetic at home and failing to monitor him properly afterward. It was a damning accusation, one that painted Murray's actions as negligent, even fatal. Not only had Murray apparently stepped away from him after administering the dose, but prosecutors said that records showed that Murray had also checked his email the morning Jackson died. A shocking detail that made his failure to act seem even more unforgivable, compounding the tragedy with the revelation of his disregard in the most critical moment. On November 7, 2011, Murray was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. He was later sentenced to 4 years in prison for the crime. The judge who sentenced him said, "Michael Jackson died not because of an isolated one-off incident. He died because of a totality of circumstances that are directly attributable to Dr. Murray. This is an unacceptable, egregious departure from an accepted standard of care, a disgrace to the medical profession." But ultimately, Murray was released after only about 2 years. Conrad Murray's life after prison. After his release from prison, Conrad Murray attempted to rebuild his life. The weight of his past, however, was never far behind him. Though his medical license was revoked in Texas and suspended in California and Nevada, he continued to see patients on a consultation basis. A man once trusted with lives, now trying to regain his footing in a world that had already judged him, haunted by the shadow of a tragedy that would never fully fade. Shockingly, in 2023, he opened up his own medical institute, DCM Medical Institute, in El Socorro, San Juan in Trinidad and Tobago. A move that stunned many, as the man once associated with such a tragic loss now sought to rebuild his life in the public eye. Ever since his release from prison, Murray has defended his side of the story in interviews. In 2016, he even published a book titled "This Is It: The Secret Lives of Dr. Conrad Murray and Michael Jackson." A bold step to reclaim his narrative, but one that only deepened the divide as questions lingered about his role in the death of a global icon. In one interview, Murray declared, "I did not kill Michael Jackson. He was a drug addict. Michael Jackson accidentally killed Michael Jackson." In a later interview, Murray blamed paramedics for failing to save Jackson in time. Though the medics said Jackson was already clinically dead by the time he had arrived at the hospital, Murray insisted, when he got to UCLA, they found evidence he was not dead. He was alive. He has signs of life. Although he maintains his innocence, Murray remains a controversial figure, often facing public backlash. While some believe he was just a doctor following orders, and some have even suggested bizarre conspiracy theories about Jackson's demise, many others see him as the man responsible for the death of one of the world's biggest stars. Viewers, this was the heartbreaking story of Conrad Murray, a doctor found guilty of manslaughter in Michael Jackson's death. Viewers, what you can say about this story, tell me in the comment box. Thanks for watching. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more chilling true crime stories. And remember, if you or anyone you know is battling dark thoughts, don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I meet you in new interesting video.